Yo, what's up everyone? So, Carn put out a video talking about the melee situation and I kind of want to check it out since I'm not really a melee guy. Like that's not my preferred playstyle, it's not something I usually play a lot of. But I did want to kind of get into the video that he made, check it out, see if I agree with the mentality he has about the melee situation and if we like are seeing the same problems here. Also, I kind of wanted to touch on this situation myself, so letting him kind of explain things and then I'll just add some stuff there when I feel like it's necessary. Also, I think Khan is one of the best players when it comes to melee, so that's why I want to listen to him, right? And big shout out to him for putting out this video. Definitely go show him some love. I'll leave the link for his channel and the video in the description. And yeah, let's get into it and check it out. I'm currently leveling a Titan and I'm at like 86. So I'm feeling the pain a little bit, I won't lie. This has been kind of a painful character to level up. But let's see what he's on about here.
This is a rant. You don't like rants? Don't watch, don't listen. This is just me talking about melee, what I think about all the problems are, the things that I don't like,
man.
how things should change.
Rant
it's
it.
not gonna be a constructed video, perfectly done, etc. with a script, etc. I just
Just
turned on the recording and I started talking. So you've been warned. So I just finished my level 100 grind on the warrior, and instantaneously I just rerolled the monk.
Level 100 warrior is basically at this point in the game that's self-inflicted torture. I'm not gonna lie.
First thing I see on the tree is this, and it got me thinking like, okay, what else is going on the monk side of the tree?
On the monk side,
and
it's all awesome.
Everything here is just increased speed, skill speed here, attack cast speed here, more speed here, speed literally everywhere. You can use move speed here.
Yeah.
Anyway, you get the idea. Just everywhere is a bunch of speed, damage, and no downsides.
Nope.
But when you look at the warrior side of the tree, everything is about just losing attack speed. Like you take this notable here, you lose attack speed.
Yeah.
You want to take this entire wheel here, you lose 1% speed per node. You take all that for what? To get a tiny bit more increased damage? It's insane. Every single node here that you would want to take, because you need to click damage somewhere, they just all make you lose attack speed. And if you compare to other trees, if you look for search reduced, all we're gonna see is like reduced attack speed here for warrior. But if we look at the other side of the tree, reduced, what is reduced? Is there anything that has a downside?
Nope.
Or trade-off to be made?
It's the good reduces.
And there's nothing. Here is just okay, you just get increased mana regen and you get reduced cost of skills. Reduce here. Again, same thing here. Reduce cost of skills. Reduce penalties for accuracy at range. Nothing here is negative. Nothing here is negative. Reduce ailments. No matter where you look. Everything here that says reduced is good for you.
You could say technically
you're not taking a node that makes your character feel worse or makes your character weaker. Whereas, well, I guess there is this one here, but that's because the upside is.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
That is actually not that's worth it. Can be fixed with gear. It
yeah, it's so powerful.
Here, same thing here. A bunch of attack speed, reduce the cost of skills. Warrior, side of the tree, it is all about concessions to be made. You take nodes, and you gain something, and you lose something else. And the problem is, when you click these nodes, does your character do more damage? Technically, I would say that yes, it does more damage because you're just focusing around big hits, heavy stuff.
But is the damage equal to the downside? I don't think so. In my opinion, Carn didn't play a warrior. He is a warrior, right? Like for doing this to level 100, bro. If we look at okay, wait a second. Let's go to the game real quick, right? So this is my warrior, right? Do we have? We do not. Okay, 1 second. Let me just. Yeah, this has. Okay, fair enough. Now, This is just me building out something, trying some stuff out, right? So don't mind the build right now, it's still in the testing phase. But if you look at how slow the attack is, right? It is so slow. The movement speed is so fucking slow. And not only that, this attack forces your character to move forward. So not only are you basically moving towards the enemies you want to attack unwillingly, there's also basically a distance they have to be away from you for this to even hit them. And it does feel extremely bad when you play against enemies that are really fast. And there's a lot of fast enemies in comparison to how fast this moves and throws out its attack. And if we. So I have 16 attack speed on this weapon right here, but I don't have any on this one, right? So if we swap this out, notice how little change there is putting another 23 attack speed on it. It barely feels like a difference. It's such a little difference. It's barely noticeable. I am actually starving for attack speed on this build so badly. If we go to the tree, I'm legitimately pathing to any type of attack speed I can find at this point because of how bad it feels and how slow and how clunky and just in general, like, this is just not this is not it. Like, I agree with him, this is not the way to go. This already feels pretty glassy in terms of armor not being super powerful or like not being really good. It's just, I don't know, man. I know I'm only at 7k, almost 8k armor on this one, but on my Warbringer, I'm at like 13, 14k armor, and I still just get absolutely annihilated. Constantly get, like, just destroyed by a regular white mob. I'm so confused on how they came to the conclusion that that would be a good choice for this character. It's just not. It just doesn't feel right. And if you, as I said, I'm not really a melee guy, but this is kind of like pushing me away from playing this character, right? Like now, and come next league or like next update, I'm definitely not playing a fucking warrior. There's no way, unless they remove all the penalties for movement speed and for fucking attack speed, because this is just not fun to play. This feels more like you're having to do homework at school or some shit, like from school or something, in comparison to playing with your buddies, playing football with your buddies or something. That's basically the best comparison I can get. Like playing a monk is like playing football with your buddies. Playing the warrior is like sitting inside doing your homework for 10 hours straight, right? It's just not fun. It's sad because when I think back on PoE1, I played 3 melee characters. I played the LS, Lightning Strike Trickster, which is insanely fast, super nice, big AoE, feels really tanky, just incredible. Then we have the Righteous Fire Chieftain, super nice, fast, big AoE, big damage, super tanky. Then we have my Flicker Strike Duelist. The speed on that one is so ridiculous that you cannot control it. That's how fast it is. It's just like you hit the attack button and you're just like letting the game do whatever the fuck it wants because you have no control over which direction you're going. That's how fast it moves. So playing this is, it feels like running against the current in a lake, basically. That's really a good way to say it, I think. But yeah, I'm not super happy with this build. I'm not super happy with armor. I'm not really. It's just there's so many problems on this side. Like this whole section of the tree needs a significant rework, or the rest of the tree needs basically a massive nerf, right, to fall in line with how this feels. It's just it's not right.
Target and you have your big hammer of the gods. You hammer the gods, for example, does not care about your attack speed. It only cares about your hit damage. But it makes your character feel worse to play. It feels bad to play. Your actions. There's a distinction that needs to be made between attack speed and action speed. Your character does not need to sit there and wind up an attack that's not even necessarily stronger than anything else that's faster to get it off, and while you're getting railed by monsters that pretty much behave the same as in PB1, except it's PB2, and you're just stuck there charging a supercharged slam, for example, and you're getting beat up the entire time. Here's the same thing here, for example. And actually, the best example I have for this parity between strength side of the tree and the dex and int are these nodes here. So brute strength, got the name, falcon technique, and pure power. Now I've made a tweet about this because the first time I saw this, I was shocked because I never really bothered, because obviously we didn't have the entire tree when the game launched, the early access launched, and I was just focused on playing the game, playing my class, whatever. Didn't really care too much about what was going on the other side until I was gonna reroll, which ended up being after I hit level 100. Either way, here you look at pure power, brute strength. Pathing to it, you get some strength and you lose mana on each small node, and then the big node you lose even more mana to gain some damage, like 1% increase per 15 strength. That is global damage, that's nice, but there's the downside. Why is there a downside here? To mirror that, you compare to, for example, Falcon Technique. The pathing node, they give dex, which, you know, again, parity with the brute force cluster, which gives you strength, but you get strength and reduced mana. Whereas for Falcon Technique, you get dexterity and increased attack speed. So it's not even that you gain strength and there's nothing else. Let's say you just only get strength. You get strength and you get a downside, a penalty for getting these nodes. Versus here where you just get
you're
pure
so
benefits.
spot on, brother.
And then the notable also doesn't have anything. And then pure power is the same thing. There's absolutely no downsides anywhere to be seen, anywhere you path. And then when you get to it, not only is it not 1%, it's 2%, but it's 2% per 10 intelligence. Now some may argue, yes.
That's a really good point. That's actually a really, really fucking good point if you think about it, right? So you're paying 15 strength for 1%, plus you're getting a downside. Here you're getting 2% for 10, right? So technically, this is 300% better. Basically, it's more because you're not getting a downside. Just in terms of percentage, right? You're paying 30%, 30 strength for 2%. That is 3 times as much as this one is. It just doesn't seem right that this is used mostly on a ranged character. That means you already have a massive amount of safety in being at distance, whereas a warrior have to be straight up in their face almost, for the most part. So, if you have to be fighting the enemy straight up, being like right up in their faces, taking damage while you are attacking, and on a caster or like a ranged character, you're gaining 3 times the damage for the same payment, and you get the safety of being far away. That doesn't seem quite right. If anything, it should be swapped around, right? Like it should be 2% no downside for the strength side and 1% lightning damage with the reduced mana. Because it's otherwise it's just not quite fair, right? Like in terms of how powerful the nodes are in comparison to each other. It's just, I really, this is a really, really fucking good point. I just realized something as I'm editing the video. There is actually a really, really solid solution to make this node way more attractive, and actually at the same time kind of give the warrior some of the stuff that he really, really, really just needs. So, in my opinion, if we remove the mana here, right? Like we don't get reduced mana, but we instead get increased movement speed, like 0.1% increased movement speed per strength, basically, on this node, right? And like 1% here, 1% here, 1% here, and then 0.1% per strength here. That would make this so much better, and it would make the warrior feel 100 times better. Um, so 0.1 per strength on the big node, and just 1% on each of these nodes, right? 0.1% if you have 600 strength is 60 movement speed, and that would kind of counteract some of the penalties you're getting from putting on gear. So I kind of just had to put that in the middle of everything. Sorry for that. Continue enjoying the video.
Specific is only lightning damage. Well, let me tell you, if you're playing a spellcaster, you're dealing lightning damage because everything else is bad. That is
Yeah,
not a problem in
no,
the game.
but
I'm not
yes,
gonna go
I
too
know
much
what you
into
mean.
it. I'm here to talk about melee, warrior, strength classes in general. Yeah, like right now in the current with the current state of the game, the fact that it's only lightning damage is it is not really a restriction at all. Because if you're playing a spellcaster, for example, you will deal lightning damage. Otherwise, your build does feels very bad. Another thing to talk about when it comes to the parity between melee slash strength warrior side of the side of thing versus the rest is the defenses. So armor, I'll show you something very, 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 very disturbing. Is that, for example, if you're to wear a body armor that gives you pearly armor. So say I'm using a steel plate. No, I want armor.
Ooh.
I go from 35% move speed
Yeah.
to 28.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
That is fucked.
That is actually crazy. These move speed penalties, I don't know why they're here. So armor, we already talked about how bad it is. So normally armor is the worst defense, has very little use, no interactions with it, but it also has a bigger penalty when it comes to move speed. And why? Like, yeah, thematically it makes sense.
It's slightly crazy to me that my Pathfinder feels so much more tanky than the warrior, which has 0 armor and it's just high on evasion energy shield, right? But it feels 100 times more tanky, and it does kind of like crazy damage still, right? And it's super fast on the movement speed side of things. It's super fast on the attacks. So it's just it's there's a massive disparity between those classes, like between warrior and every other class in the game at the moment. And I have a feeling after watching the huntress and the druid footage that the druid is gonna be having the same exact problems as the warrior has. It's gonna be very slow and clunky feeling, whereas the huntress is gonna fly around, just annihilating shit. That's the vision I see right now if they continue down this road. I just really hope they change their minds on this and either decide to scale down the rest of the builds to the warrior level or scale the warrior level up to the rest of the builds of the rest of the characters.
But here's the thing, if you're playing a strength character, you know, that's gonna scale armor because you're on that side of the tree, well, you have a lot of strength, so why would a body armor slow you down? Well, shouldn't it be the opposite? If I have a bunch of strength that I'm forced to get because of Giant's Blood, which is not a problem, and I'm gonna go into in more detail, hopefully I don't forget, then thematically, if I have a lot of strength, I shouldn't be slowed down by armor.
No, that's...
You already have...
What a good point. What a
lot
good
of
point. The theme of the character is he's super, super strong, so how the fuck is an armor gonna slow you down? You have all this muscle. that makes no sense. You should be able to carry 10 times more stuff without being slowed down on something that's super strong in terms of like the lore of the character.
When you're on that side, you're slow, but with forced clunkiness, forced low speed. I don't know. Again, I don't think it has a place. You move speed also. I think it's for your shield as well. So removes move speed. So like technically, if you don't wear anything, you have 40% move speed. Now suddenly, it's just kind of nice.
Wow.
Suddenly it feels a lot better to move around. I unironically played for a decent bit of time with no body armor, and then later on with Fox Shade because my body armor, all he did was give me armor that was worthless, resistances I did not need at the time, and some life. And I was like, you know what? If I'm faster, I'm probably safer anyway than having 400 extra life. There's a big problem here where everything you do on warrior, on melee, maces, etc. is just concessions. You just take something and then you lose a bunch of things, and it's That is not how it should feel. You should not be clicking nodes and suddenly your character feels worse. That should not be a thing.
No.
Same for the skills that we have on maces. Everything, as like for example, look at the attack speed, 80% of base. Earth Shatter, like the most crazy part to me is like if you dual wield Earth Shatter, you have 30% less speed. This is, I will show you guys how fast Earth Shatter looks when it's dual wield. This is with the maximum amount of speed. Like I cannot have more speed than I have right now. Like how is that ever playable? How is that ever acceptable? I have Onslaught, attack speed on my gloves, clicked all the skill speed here, the attack speed here, the only thing that's missing is this, and that's just because, well, I mean, I cannot click it, otherwise I would.
I'm in the same spot.
Attack speed on my... Well, actually I should probably put this one on, but that was not gonna make a big difference.
Doesn't really do anything.
With a weapon that has like 22% attack speed also. So this is just...
I feel the pain, homie.
This is not it. We need to slow down a bit with all the
penalties,
concessions, downsides, and all the forced clunkiness for no real reason.
Correct.
Like I want to be able to. I am okay with scaling attack speed not being a thing, not being something that's desirable. For example, in PB1, it was done very well with slams, where if you could get more attack speed if you wanted to, use a faster weapon, have a more invest in speed. You could do that during the slams days. But why would you? Because all your damage was tied to your exerts, your war cries, which means that even though you could get more attack speed, you wouldn't. That would be secondary. That would be some luxury stat that you would get for your character to feel smoother, to have better clear speed, better movement. But that was not something that was necessary for you to deal optimal damage. And the result was, well, yeah, we would not prioritize attack speed. You would always prioritize your weapon damage over everything else. And they did not need to put reduced attack speed everywhere on the tree. Now, there is a same problem with like movement. For example, Leap Slam. A lot of skills, like I said, like Earth Shadow, for example, 80% base speed. I think Hammer of the Gods is also very low. Yeah, it's like 50%. But on Hammer of the Gods, it is more acceptable because it has a cooldown. I think Hammer of the Gods being slow and all that stuff, I have no problem with it. It hits hard. It is slow, has a cooldown, no problem with it. But for skills that you have to use repeatedly, regularly, all throughout your gameplay, that should not be a thing. Like Leap Slam, for example, and Sunder are two huge offenders. Leap Slam has a plus 0.65 second total to attack time, plus up to 0.5 second on this day based on distance traveled. That is insane.
Yeah.
That is absolutely insane.
That is crazy.
Look at the speed of my Leap Slam. Well, I'm fully invested in speed, and there's nothing you can do to speed it up because of that base attack time. That base total attack time that is forced prevents you from making it faster in any way, any significant way. I am fully invested in speed right now, and if I remove all my speed, I would barely see a difference. Why does it have to feel so bad? You would think that the skill that is this slow, forced to be this slow, would have like a giant AoE, giant damage, but that is not the case. Like the damage is okay. It can kill white mobs sometimes, but I mean, it's not something that you're gonna be willing to support because, again, because of how the gem system works, your supports are limited. You have a very limited amount of support gems that you can use on a few things, and you have to choose where you use them. And you're not gonna use these things on Lip Slam because Lip Slam just feels awful to use. Like right now, I'm primarily using on this character to fill the gap in my shield charge cooldown when I'm moving through maps, or to jump over ledges and things like that.
Right.
Now maybe that's fine, but it always feels bad to use, and I always feel like if I just had a bit more move speed, for example, I would not have to use it. Like right now, I think I'm at an amount of speed where Leap Slam is still worth using, but if, say, I would not be wearing any of this and I'd be running around with 40% movement speed, Leap Slam might be a speed loss. Right, they want things to make sense, and that's why when you put on big heavy armor piece, you lose more move speed. Well, I mean, if you have 500 strength, 600 strength, whatever, 800, when you're stacking strength, why would an armor slow you down? I do not understand. And in the same vein, if I have a bunch of strength, why can monster block me and push me around and do whatever the hell they want with me, with my character? I am a Titan. Like if you look at, for example, a Titan, the class is called a Titan. You have a node that's called hulking form. You're Hulk. You have the blood of giants running through your veins, but a spider in a hallway will stop your stampede, and there's nothing you can do about it. and you get pushed around by charges, by mobs, by bigger mobs, smaller mobs. It doesn't matter their size; they're just stronger than you apparently. So where is the parity here?
Okay,
Why is the story?
this is actually also a really fucking good point he's making here. The fact that you can shield charge into a little urn and it stops your shield charge or like you shield charge into a ally, for instance, it instant stops the shield charge. But on the monk, when you're using Tempest Flurry, you can push everything at a incredible speed around. So if you use Tempest Flurry and you hit one of your allies, you're pushing your ally in whatever direction you're going. You're literally just pushing him, and he can't basically move out of it. But on the character that's supposed to be the strongest, you can't move past something that barely reaches your boots height. Like, what in the actual fuck is that?
Stuff that fit thematically in the game. Why are they all downsides? Why are they all things that make the game feel worse to play? Why aren't they things that should benefit the player? For example, if I have a lot of strength, why can I not push the monsters away? When I'm using something like Stampede, I should be able to push everything in my way. In fact, I should be Dragon Monster with me. No,
yeah.
So bad, we all know that.
When the monsters push you, they can fucking push you across the screen. Like what are they called? The guys that curl up and roll in Act 3. You get hit by one of those, you get pushed across the screen. You get pushed across the screen. Even from small enemies, you can get pushed super hard. But you can't push them back with the strongest character? What?
At the very least, in D4, when you play a barb and you charge, you feel like a barb using a charge, and you're not a little wuss that gets blocked by a spider. You're actually dragging monsters with you until your destination, and you crash onto them. And it feels good. Stampede feels awful. You just get blocked by everything, a pebble in the way, boom, you're just stuck in place, a spider, whatever, you're in a hole, trying to stampede through a hallway, through a doorway, when there is one single monster, it doesn't matter its size, is the worst experience ever.
Yeah.
Because you can't go forward.
I agree.
And then you just get deviated and you get just bounced around like
yeah.
Like,
it's fucking horrendous.
I don't know, like a ball but you're getting bounced around the wall or something. It's awful. It has no place in a game like this. I want my character, when I press Stampede in a certain direction, I want my character to go in that direction. I don't want it to suddenly get bounced around like a pinball. This doesn't make sense thematically, and it is not fun gameplay wise either. So why is it a thing? I do not know. The whole argument of weight and blah 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 thematics. Okay, fine. Well, make it make sense. Make it consistent. I want the things in the game to be I'm okay with things to be intuitive, but that is not the case always. That is only the case when you can create friction and frustrating scenarios for the player. And why? I don't know. I do not know. In the same vein, when it comes to thematics being only downsides and not upsides, mana. So I am playing a warrior. Right? I'm a melee physical character using a mace. Why do I need to channel arcane powers to smack my mace on the face? I do not understand. Why does my Hammer of the Gods cost more mana than I have if I try to scale it properly in the end game? With level bonuses to level meta skills? Why? Why can Hammer of the Gods cost this much mana? Is insane to me. Like, every skill costs way too much mana. Like, even Stampede, for example, I can cast 2 Stampede and then I'm out of mana.
Yeah, that is just
that
stupid.
Is insane.
That is so stupid.
That is actually insane.
Wait, didn't Carn actually... Am I misremembering here? Because I feel like I watched his stream and he found a weapon that was absolutely goated, but when he put it on, he couldn't use his skills because of the mana cost. So he found a massive upgrade, but was unable to use it due to the fact that the mana cost from the skills was so high, and you're getting so much reduced mana from the skill tree and stuff, that it was legitimately impossible to use. That seems absolutely counterintuitive. That seems stupid as fuck. The fact that another thing is, I remember Quinn playing a melee blood mage, and the fact that that character looked 100 times better than the warrior does, when it's not even themed around being a melee character technically, right, is beyond me. I don't get how the witch is a better melee character than the warrior. That just does not seem right.
Same goes with Slight Lip Snap. You can basically use 2 to 3 abilities, and then you're completely out of mana, unless you invest in 2 mana. But I am a warrior. I play maces. I am slamming things. Why do I need to invest into mana? That is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense thematically.
No.
So yeah, this is one of the problems they're talking about. No consistency. Yeah, thematics. And then at the same time, they want to keep mana because they need the resource for you to have to mana so you don't spam. But it does not make sense and it does not fit in this case. The fact that I cannot use my skills, I get a weapon. You can get excited about a weapon. Oh my god, I just got a +7 weapon with good fist damage and stuff. And then you put it on and suddenly you can't use your skills. That is ridiculous.
That is
absolutely
stupid
ridiculous.
as fuck.
It should not be the case ever. So all the melee mana costs need to be toned down. There was this thing that they've said in the past that I remember very vividly, where they explained why spells do not need accuracy, and the reason was because spellcasters have to deal with mana, and accuracy was supposed to be the counterpart to mana for casters, but for attack characters. So why do attack characters, melee characters have to deal with mana then, if they also have to deal with accuracy? Again,
oh
no
my god,
here.
that's a fucking great point.
This much mana on a melee character, and it doesn't make sense for a caster to not need accuracy either. So there is, again, this is something that is visible, that we can see here. Like there's not the same treatment going on for melee classes and the warrior class, strength, etc. versus the rest, where everything here is about downsides, being slow when you put on an armor, attacking slow when you click nose on the tree, and at the same time having to deal with accuracy and having to deal with mana. Meanwhile, the other counterparts don't have to deal with that problem.
Yeah.
Giant's Blood. Now, Giant's Blood, I think, is really bad keystone because it's existing, it is balanced around it. Which means if you do not have it, you either have no damage or you have no defense. Playing without Giant's Blood is not an option. And the fact that Giant's Blood exists also makes it so that you cannot utilize the other gems. Like, you're pretty much locked into strength gems for the most part on a warrior because, well, you need like 550 to 630 strength depending on like how you build the character, how you spec into it. Right now I'm spec into the entire polymathy wheel to be able to have enough strength to use my weapons. That means that it makes it extremely difficult to get enough int and dex to use other gems. For example, if you want to use a high level Grim Feast to have an energy shield setup, well, I mean that is not possible at Astromantis pretty much. The only way for warriors to be able to do anything that is not a strength gem, you need Astromantis.
Which
that
is like the fucking rarest thing in the game. Besides temporal.
And have access to all the gems.
Stupid.
Also, probably what makes gemling straight up just a better warrior, like in everything almost.
Church.
So
true.
I think is a massive problem. Triple the attributes is way too much. I think it was supposed to be double the attributes, and I've heard people say that, oh no, it's fine, and I remember saying, no, double is fine, and as soon as I saw triple, I was like, okay, this is a disaster, this is not good.
Yeah, double is fine, the triple is completely outrageous.
Sure enough, it did not end well. The requirements are way too high. It is way too difficult for you to get enough attributes in the early to mid game to be able to use your weapons. You need basically full investment on your tree through polymathy and strength on almost every single piece of gear to be able to use your weapons. Currently I have it on my neck, my 2 rings, my gloves, and well, technically also my belt because I have ingenuity, and also my shield. And that is just what I need, pretty much. And like early game, when you also need res, fix your res, you need enough life, like it is absurdly hard to get enough strength while progressing on a warrior to be able to use Giant's Blood. And the problem is like Giant's Blood, again, like I said, is not optional. It's not something that is gonna be a min-max angle in the end game. It's something that you need to have. If you do not have it, I repeat, you have either no damage because you're using one-hander, and one-handers are very bad in the game currently,
Right.
or you're using a two-hander, you don't have a shield, and you're on living defense, and you die instantly to any, for example, any packs of crabs will just kill you instantly if you don't
Yeah.
if you don't dodge everything. You're just basically playing a no-hit run sanctum in every map that you play. There's an option, obviously, to just not take Giant's Blood and try to get a lot of Dex instead, and then get evasion bases. But again, you need strength for your gems because a lot of your gems, well, they're strength gems, so you're gonna need strength to use those. And use your attacks that are high level. You also still need a decent 200 strength, for example, for level 20 Earth Shatter, 205 strength. So how are you gonna get enough Dex and strength to get everything going? I just don't see it. So yeah, I think we've been told that melee, warrior, etc. is gonna be really good in PV2. PV2 was made to save melee, and on the notes, I remember one of the things they said was, oh, because they remade animation, it's a new game, all that stuff. You can attack while moving, but currently the mace skills, warrior in general, you cannot attack while moving.
No.
There's no abilities you can use to attack while moving. Stampede does make you move, yeah, sure, because it's a half a movement skill baked in. Rolling Slam moves you around a bit, but it's not like you can move wherever you want and use that ability. You're kind of locked into a very restrictive movement whenever you use these abilities.
Yeah, you're locked into this animation of you doing the attack, whereas with like the ranger or like the spellcasters or whatever, right? Like you're actually able to be moving around the target as you're casting or as you're shooting your bow. Or it's weird that the characters that has the biggest benefit out of or the biggest benefit from safety by being at distance also benefits the most from the movement while firing your skills, while the character that has to be up in monsters' faces just getting basically a penalty by not being able to move while attacking, or it's force moving you while you are attacking, right? Like the Molten Blast is forcing your character to move forward, and it's not like a lot or anything. It's just enough to where it becomes a thing you have to sit there and calculate every time you want to attack. Can I attack this enemy, or do I have to run backwards first and then do the attack? It's just man.
Yeah, for example, you can't even mace strike while moving. Why is that? This is just a mace strike. It's an auto attack. Why can't I just move and mace strike at the same time? That is insane to me. I thought that a lot of the reasons why melee was gonna feel better was like, yeah, you can attack while moving. And when I was hearing about this, I was like, oh, that's sick. Yeah, moving while being able to move while attack, or even though at lower speed, would have helped a lot. But you cannot. So for example, you have things like Supercharge Slam. Let's look at that skill. The skill that you have to sit there in place, charge for a good 3 seconds, 2 seconds, and then boom, you slam. Like if you could move while channeling that thing, that would make it a lot more.
Same with Perfect Strike.
To use. And also it would be a lot better if they actually kept it at a reasonable power level. There's a lot of skills like that they just nerfed instantly. Supercharge Slam, I think, is a big one. They obviously nerfed Armor Explosion, even though it did what Herald of Ice did, but worse. I'm expecting Herald of Ice to die, but still, I still want to point out the parity here, where Herald of Ice chaining is still around, while Armor Explosion literally lasted, I don't know, a few days. So there's some people use Armor Explosion, they're like, oh, that thing is chaining, which by the way was not a bug. It worked exactly how you would expect it to work, but it got nuked instantaneously, whereas Herald of Ice.
This is actually like, if you think about the past couple of updates we've had or patches we have had, what is the one character that's caught the most amount of nerfs? The fucking warrior, and it was already the worst. It was already the worst feeling character, and they nerfed it multiple times. It's actually crazy to think about, but it's sad that the other characters feels so amazing to play, and then you jump on your warrior. So a good example here is I have I I I jump on the warrior, right? And I want to play it, but I play it for like an hour, maybe 2 hours at the absolute maximum. Like I don't think I've ever played more than 2 hours in a row on the warrior before I'm so fed up with the way the character performs that I have to jump back and play something else that makes me feel like I'm doing damage and moving around and stuff like that, right? It's yeah, I don't know, man. I don't agree with that.
Lives. So again, no parity here. So there's definitely either I don't know what's going on. I don't know what this is about, but if PoE2 was made to make melee good, it did not succeed at that. Melee is good in the campaign, yeah, sure. That part I will not contest.
True.
I was.
I was actually first time playing the warrior was on my warbringer, which is currently like level 90 or something. And in the beginning, I was like, I don't really like this character. It doesn't seem that good. Even in the campaign, I was kind of like, this is not great. But on the second character I made, the Titan, I had a way better understanding of the skills and the support gems and what worked like really well and stuff like that. And running through the campaign became a walk in the park. But the second you made it into maps, it 180'd and went from being fairly easy to deal with to become really painful and overwhelming, just super hard to play actually. Um, on my Warbringer, I'm using the Corrupting Cry, or Seismic Cry with Corrupted Cry, or whatever it's called, and that's like a AOE skill that pushes the knockback, like it knocks back the enemies. So that one is less painful to play because I'm pushing them away from me. And if you're playing that character in a group setting, it feels really, really nice, but it still feels slow and clunky at times. But the Titan I'm making, it feels so much worse because now I don't have any push, like any knockback. I don't have any real like big AOE type deal that's like, and it just doesn't feel enjoyable as the basically all of the other characters do, except for the witch hunter. If you're going the crossbow route, like I am so my my mercenary that I'm currently leveling, that's supposed to be a witch hunter. I play it for like 20 minutes at a time, and I'm like, oh my god, I need to play something else for a minute. I can't play another minute on this. And then the next day, I'll do another 20-minute session, and I'm like, oh man, let me go on the monk, or let me go on my blood mage, or on my swords, or like the rangers, or whatever, right? Like just anything else. So I do think that they really need to focus and hone in on the warrior significantly more than they have been.
From the beginning, I always said that's also one of the reasons I started Warrior and Melee, because I played it in LA and it looked very good. It was fun to play. It was strong. It was really nice. Even though we didn't actually get the thing they told us, which is you can attack while moving on with melee skills. That is not a thing. It was still very good. As soon as we get to the end game is not PoE2 anymore. It's a PoE1 end game with PoE2 characters, and the warrior in particular feels like the most PoE2 character in the game. The warrior skills that actually feel good to use when they work properly, and there's all the clunk stuff is not in there. For example, like Stampede getting stuck in things. Like Shield Charge is another one also. Speaking of Shield Charge and Stampede, a quick note is I really like the controls of it, like how you can steer your trajectory and modify it slightly. You can like charge around corners and stuff. Like that part feels really good.
Yeah.
The only problem is like Shield Charge stop on a monster. I know this is how the skill is designed to work. I don't like it. I'd much rather my shield charges go through and do damage as I run through monsters. That would feel a lot better. That would be a lot smoother.
Correct.
Gameplay being smooth is one of the big problems right now, where gameplay does not feel smooth. It does not flow. The gameplay needs to be. You need your character to feel good to play. You need to be in control of your character. do your actions, do your movement, everything should be smooth and flow. The gameplay map should flow properly, but it doesn't right now because of all the forced clunk. Like some of your actions take way too long to perform for no real reason. You just like literally just force clunk. Okay, you leave Sam's gonna take boom 2 seconds just because, and that's like why. Especially if you're investing in speed, you should be able to get benefits from that speed. And like you Stampede getting stuck in stuff, getting bounced around, shield charge, same thing. These things are just exhausting and make Warrior play like shit. Even though, technically, if these things were fixed, I think War would feel very, very good to play. Probably one of the... I haven't really played other classes yet. I will get to it. And I've heard I've heard things. I've heard that it's a completely different experience. So I'm looking forward to that. But when it comes to Warrior, I did not hate everything about it. Stampede is a skill that feels nice to use when it works. When you don't get blocked, when you get to actually charge through, and then you slam, and then it feels good even without the.
So I haven't actually done that skill. I have tried it, but I haven't really.
I think it's a skill that
invested hard into it.
I would like it to do better damage because currently Stampede looks good because hero device is a thing, because armor explosion was a thing, but like without both these chaining mechanics, it is actually not that good. The numbers on it before release looked a lot better, but they decided to nerf it along with, again, everything else that's on Warrior. And I want to go back on the supercharged slam because I actually did not finish that. Like, that's a skill, for example. It's a good example is of all these downsides with no real upsides. Supercharged slam on launch was insanely good, although it was bugged. But either it was bugged or I'm not sure what that was. I'm pretty sure. I think that what was happening is that the extra aftershocks were also giving you extra damage multipliers. And I don't think that's what was not supposed to happen, maybe. Because they did change the gem. Although they said it was a bug, I did feel like something was off. Like something was definitely off with Supercharged Slam, because the first time I used it, I was like, oh, this does not look like the amount of damage it's supposed to do. So I was expecting a nerf. But the nerf was way too big. And now Supercharged Slam is a skill that you have to sit there, channel for 2-3 seconds, and then it does mediocre damage. And that was one of the skills I actually felt really, really good to press, because you have to find your opening, and then you charge your thing. The animation looks nice, the sound looks nice, and then the feedback when you get it off feels amazing. Giant explosion, big damage. That is what you want from a skill like that. It's like how to pull up, and when you get it off, you wanna explode the entire map. You know, when you get something like that off, it should do big damage. Otherwise, why would you use it? And I want more skills like that. Like skills like that were fun to use. But yeah, too much. I think they're too scared of making melee too good. I feel like something that's been the case since forever. They said, I know that for the longest time we're like, okay, I'm just gonna let them cook. But at this point, we're at the point where they cooked, and this is what we got. And I think it's time to rip the band-aid off and just say, okay, this is what we thought was very good. It ended up not so good. It feels bad for all the reasons that I just mentioned. Time to rip the band-aid off. Do crazy shit. It's time to do all the stuff that they would think is crazy. The things they're gonna say, oh, it's probably too good. It is unreasonable. Do it. Just do it. And if it's too much, dial it back. But I think it's time to stop being scared of making melee good. I think just go all out. Trying to, because we've seen if this is what melee being very, very good looks like to them right now, then I don't know. It's time to rule the...
There is a good melee character. It's called a monk, right? Like, that's just simply how it is. You played a monk, you feel like a fucking god. You played a warrior, you feel like a... What's a good wording for that? It would be... You know how you have your glass cannons? You play a warrior, you feel like a water pencil, right? You have no... It's not good. It's really, really, really not good. And I do agree with Carn here that I'd rather see them do something that makes it feel a little bit too powerful and then dial it back a bit than just putting it in the ground and being like, yeah, this is way too good. We're not doing that. You know what I mean? Like, compare that to the monk, right? It's just insane.
The things that you think are gonna be ridiculous. Rip the bait off. Let it all out. Go crazy. and more importantly, let's stop with all the downsides everywhere that is possible. This needs to stop. Why do I click a node and I lose stuff? I do not. All these things needs to go. They need to go. The rest of the tree does not have that. For the most part, there's almost nothing.
It's actually fair enough to have downsides, but then the benefits should outweigh the downside, right? If the benefits doesn't outweigh the downside and the downside feels like a way bigger cost, then there's no point in taking that note. You know what I mean? Or like it just you take the note, but it does not feel great, and that part should definitely get changed 100%.
Thing on the entire, like when I type reduce, the only downside that I could see is spagnification. But spagnification, yeah, that just some light radius and some chaos res. That doesn't make your character feel worse. You see a bit better gear, and the upside is pretty massive.
Yeah.
All the force clunk and downsides need to go, and we need also all the collision stuff should be just gone.
Yeah.
That is just, I think I didn't talk about it enough, but it's imperative. I think that is one of the things that will break the game for me, at least. That is a complete deal breaker for me. Being pushed around, being blocked by everything while you have a slow character, it's especially bad on warrior because you're slow. You're slow, so you have, for example, when you're in a ritual and you're getting swarmed by a bunch of monsters, and you have to kill them fast because you have no place to run. You cannot run, and you have to fight them. Like you're trying to wind up a big attack that takes too long to go off because you have minus attack speed everywhere on your tree, and then suddenly you're just getting stunned, and then you have to start again. You get cancelled. Speaking of getting cancelled, for example, if you start casting a Hammer of the Gods and you roll out of it, it goes on cooldown. Why is that the case? That things like this should not go on cooldown unless it actually goes off. Because if they want you to be able to cancel stuff.
That's a really good point too. And that's actually why I made the Warbringer to begin with, was because I did not like using my minion build for rituals. It just didn't feel nice. So with the Warbringer and being able to knock back enemies, you could just stand in the middle unless it's a tornado one. But you could basically just stand in the middle and just push everything out to the sides, and you were safe the whole time, right? But with any other of the warrior skills, it feels like you are in imminent danger constantly. Like every second of you playing the game, it feels like you're in danger. On the supposedly like most tanky strong character, right?
Not by rolling out, because you might have to roll out of things. Then they should also make it so that it only goes on cooldown when it actually goes off. Yeah, all the collision stuff needs to go. Make Stampede. If they want things to, again, that can also be thematical. Like I said.
Another thing I've paid attention to is, and this is not something that happens like constantly, but this is something that happens maybe like 1 out of 10, maybe 1 out of 15 times, is when I use my Hammer of Gods, it does not drop the hammer. It puts me on a cooldown timer for it, but the hammer never drops. It's like, what the fuck? Like I use it, but not like the attack doesn't actually fire. It just gives you a cooldown.
Said it fits with thematics in the game. If I'm a strong character with a lot of strength, I should be able to push monsters around, not the other way around. I should be able to stand my ground. Strength should even give you stun threshold. That would make, again, all these things that make sense, but are beneficial, are not in the game. All the things that are thematical and make sense, but are detrimental to you, are in the game. Why? No double standards, please. I am so tired of all the double standard that just keep piling up and making melee feel worse and be worse than it should be. But yeah, collisions out. This doesn't fit in the game like this. Getting pushed around. Yeah. I think that's pretty much everything I had to say about this. Honestly, I probably forgot stuff. I just wanted to record something, get it out of the way, say things, because otherwise, if I try to make it perfect and say everything, organized way, whatever, it's gonna take me forever. I'm never gonna get it done. Yeah, I just need to let it out. I let it out. I'm probably gonna, if I forget stuff, I'm probably gonna make another video to talk more about it. But for now, these are the big points and things to take away. And let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.
Well, that was Carn's take on the melee situation in Path of Exile currently. And I have to say, I really do agree a lot with the points he's making. And I do think that we need a significant increase in enjoyability when you play the character. That's really what it comes down to. It comes down to, do you jump on the game and feel like you enjoy what you're playing? Or do you jump on the game and can't wait to swap to another character? If you're jumping on the game and you're playing a character and you can't wait to swap out to play one of the other characters, that should not be the case. They should have an equal feel of enjoyment when you play them. It should not feel like you're playing a build with a disability and every other build feels like they have a massive amount of power, speed, and safety, when what supposedly should be the strongest and safest character feels like a weak, glassy, just not right to play character, right? And it's one of those things that is really sad, because they were really pointing out that this game was gonna be really good for melee, right? So I have to say he made some really, 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 really good points here, and he hasn't even played the other characters, so he doesn't even have the full scope of things here. He's only basing some of it off of what he's heard or what he's seen. And I have a feeling that once he goes through and he starts playing all the characters, then he'll truly see the disparity in between the two classes, right? So on my Warbringer, as you'll see here, I'm at 13.2k armor, but I'm still getting one tap by white mobs constantly. It's so painful to play, and it's yeah, it's just sad to me that this character feels neglected in some kind of way. I don't know if I would call it neglected, but it does not feel right. It feels like there's something that's not the way it should be, right? And on top of that, when you then do play other characters like the monk or like a ranger or like any other casters or a minion build or whatever it might be, it makes you realize how low down the food chain the warrior actually is, right? And yeah, it's really, really sad. And I think that if they don't change it, this is probably gonna end up being one of the least played characters. It'll be like a challenge character. It's something you basically do to do a challenge, because it's just not feeling right. It's not feeling like smooth and enjoyable and amazing, right? And that is, however, the feeling I have, for instance, with like my monk or my pathfinder or my blood mage or my sorks or my whatever, right? Like I really feel like there is an incredible amount of difference, and I feel like it's sad to see because of how it should feel, or at least how I'm picturing it in my head when I'm thinking of a warrior in terms of a lore around the game, right? This feels like somebody who should just run up and take all the aggression away from the rest of the group and being able to tank it and being able to perform high damage outputs while still being really safe. And that's just not how it feels currently, which is it is what it is, and hopefully 2.020 is gonna be benefiting the warrior a lot. And hopefully, I really pray that they don't do the same thing to the druid and make it feel like the warrior, because that would not be a good idea. I don't think that's a good idea. I think it needs to feel a lot better than it does. But yeah, that was my take on it and Carn's take on it. And yeah, big shout out to Carn for the video. I think that was a really constructive video that pointed out a lot of problems and a lot of things that could be changed and some solutions for what the changes could be. So great stuff, man. I really appreciate that video. That was a fucking banger. And go show that man some love because he is fighting the fight for real. Like he is a warrior at heart, man. That's shout out to you, my man. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good jazz. I'll catch you all in the next one.